The 49ers made some roster moves on Tuesday as they start to cover their bases. I almost used a word that started with A instead of with B. For their game Sunday against the Kansas City Chiefs, the 49ers have some question marks at kicker. They have some question marks at safety. And so they went out and got some guys with NFL experience and they put them on the practice squad. And as a result, they had to create a spot and they release a wide receiver that they signed right after the final cut. So going to get into all those moves, but first, just wanted to remind you that this is brought to you by Canyon Club. It's a beer garden and a restaurant located in Moraga that's very family friendly. It's definitely one of my go-to spots. So if you're ever in the area, in the La Miranda area, check out Canyon Club Brewery. And also, it's coming soon to Danville, to the Livery in Danville, right off of 680. So that'll definitely be incorporated into my rotation of breweries, no doubt about it. Canyon Club Brewery, headquartered in Moraga. Okay, so here's what the 49ers did on Tuesday with Talanoa Hufanga out for a period of time. He's on injured reserve. And with Malik Mustafa with a low ankle sprain, some uncertainty there for the 49ers. So they went out and signed to their practice squad Adrien Amos. He's a 9-year veteran. He played 11 games with the Jets last season and 5 with the Houston Texans. Before that, 4 years with Chicago, 4 years with Green Bay, and he has a lot of experience, 125 NFL starts. And he went to camp with the Jacksonville Jaguars. He was released before the start of the regular season. So Adrien Amos joins the 49ers in a very similar role to what they had Tracy Walker the third, the former Lions safety. They had him on the practice squad for the first couple of games of the season while Talanoa Hufanga was out. So once Hufanga came back, they released Walker, and now Adrien Amos comes in as kind of the emergency safety with right now, if Mustafa can't play Sunday against Kansas City, it'll be George Odom and Jair Brown as the starters. 49ers also have Jalen Mahoney, an undrafted rookie from Vanderbilt, who's now been up a couple of times that they elevated from the practice squad to the 53 man, or not to the 53 man, but to the game day roster to be available. So Amos joins the 49ers as an emergency safety. And the same goes for Anders Carlson. He's a kicker, second year kicker. Last year was a 6th-round draft pick of the Packers, and he kicked in 17 games in the regular season for the Packers and then also in the postseason. And he was 27 of 33 on field goal attempts. He missed 5-point afters last year. And in the postseason, he was 2 of 3 on field goals and missed 1 extra point. The downside with Carlson is only 43% of his kickoffs were touchbacks. So the 49ers, with the new rule, the dynamic kickoff rule, they're trying to get it a touchback. They're trying to kick it deep into the end zone every time. Carlson, by way of, or as evidenced by his low number of touchbacks last season, doesn't have the strongest leg. So why is Carlson needed? Because Matthew Wright, the guy, the kicker who's filling in for the other kicker, Jake Moody, he's questionable for this game as he sustained a shoulder injury Thursday night against the Seattle Seahawks while covering a kickoff. Of course, one of his kickoffs was returned all the way 97 yards for a touchdown, and then he got injured on another long kickoff return late in that game. So his status for this game is very much up in the air. So the 49ers right now added 2 guys off the practice squad, or 2 guys to the practice squad who could be options to play on Sunday against Kansas City. And going back to the whole touchback thing, Jake Moody last year, just by comparison, 82% of his kickoffs ended up as touchbacks. So that's a big deal for the 49ers because their stated goal is to not allow kickoffs. They want to kick it through the end zone. But as Kyle Shanahan said last week, sometimes that's easier said than done. So the 49ers do make a move in order to create those spots on the practice squad. And what they did was they released Terrace Mitchell. He started his career with the Carolina Panthers. He was a second round draft pick in the 2021 NFL draft out of LSU and never really caught on with the Panthers. He was there for 3 seasons, 64 catches for 776 yards and only one touchdown. He was among the team's final releases before the start of the regular season. The 49ers grabbed him, put him on the practice squad, and he's been on the practice squad up until this point. And so 49ers opting to release Terrace Mitchell in order to sign these two guys to the practice squad. So the most recent 49ers move on the practice squad as it pertains to wide receiver was Tariq Owens, Terrell Owens' son, a developmental player, didn't get a whole lot of action in college and really didn't really start playing too much in high school either. 49ers saw enough from Tariq Owens to give him a shot to see if they can develop him. So Terrace Mitchell is out. Amos and Carlson are in. Okay, so an interesting day in the NFL on Tuesday because there were a couple of moves with wide receivers. And the 49ers, by the way, with Ricky Pearsall coming back and designated for return off of the NFI list, 49ers do now have an additional wide receiver to take reps and that they can practice with and get ready for the regular season. So everything still remains kind of up in the air as far as when Ricky Pearsall will be able to make his NFL debut. He didn't play in the preseason due to the shoulder injury, the subluxation, and then of course, he goes on NFI after the shooting incident, shot through the right side of his chest and out through the back. Just shockingly didn't hit any bones or any vital organs. And now he is ready to go. He's been fully cleared, and we'll see how quickly he can get up to speed and make a contribution as a first round draft pick, the number 31 overall pick in that draft. Okay, still staying on the subject of wide receivers. A couple of trades around the NFL. Both of them were interesting, I think, from a 49ers standpoint. I talked a couple of weeks ago about Davante Adams and the question when it was clear that the Raiders were looking to trade him, a lot of people were wondering, well, would the 49ers be interested? And I said it at the time, they wouldn't be, just because of so many other ramifications, and they really don't need wide receivers, and they didn't need wide receivers at that point. I know there was a lot of people wondering about Brandon Ayuk, if the 49ers would move on him, move away from him immediately, and of course they weren't. But Davante Adams, he has moved from the Raiders to the Jets, and the Jets give up a conditional third-round pick to the Raiders, could become a second-round pick. So Adams has a new home, reuniting with Aaron Rodgers. And the other one that sort of caught my eye too was Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper gets traded from the Browns to the Buffalo Bills. The Bills receive Cooper and a 2025 sixth-round draft pick in exchange for a 2025 third-round pick and a seventh-round pick in 2026. So Amari Cooper is a player that 49ers could be seeing later this season. 49ers play at Green Bay 1 week. That's the Sunday before Thanksgiving, and then at Buffalo the Sunday after Thanksgiving. And Amari Cooper, now a member of the Buffalo Bills, so the 49ers could see him. And kind of why it kind of piqued my interest was because, as I reported during training camp, the 49ers were deep into talks and actually had kind of the framework of some trades made while the situation with Brandon Ayuk remained unresolved. And the trade that the 49ers had in place with the Cleveland Browns would have sent them Amari Cooper, as well as a second and fifth round draft picks for Brandon Ayuk. And of course, with that situation, Ayuk did not have a no trade clause in his contract, but there was no way a team was going to trade for him unless they had the contract agreement, the multi-year contract agreement in place for him. And so Brandon Ayuk, who later admitted that he really didn't want to leave the 49ers at all, certainly was not interested in going to the Cleveland Browns or the New England Patriots. And so that deal was never finalized other than the 49ers and the Browns talking it through as far as what it would take, the compensation that the 49ers would get from the Browns if a trade were to happen. So that's kind of the up-to-date situation here as the 49ers roster and some key players kind of remains in flux a little bit. The other injury update is that Jordan Mason, the running back for the 49ers, who's done a remarkable job in place of Christian McCaffrey, he was out on the practice field Monday for their bonus practice wearing a blue no contact jersey. So he has an AC shoulder joint sprain, his left shoulder, and his availability remains a little bit in question, but certainly I took it as a good sign that he was out on the practice field on Monday, running around a little bit and starting the preparations as the 49ers starting to put in their game plan to face the Kansas City Chiefs. If you haven't already, check out my earlier video when I talked about how the 49ers might approach this very key matchup against Travis Kelce. That was one of the areas where the 49ers did not do a good job in the second half of that game. And really, when you think about it, Kelce is about he is definitely the biggest option that Patrick Mahomes has in the passing game now. The Chiefs' outside receivers really don't pose much of a threat, I don't think. 49er fans might be saying that that's famous last words. But anyway, check that out as far as my belief that now this game is really on Fred Warner. And however Nick Sorensen can best use Fred Warner, it might be just to put him on Kelce for a large portion of this game. That might be the best way to go. I always say that wherever you need a great player the most, that's where you put him. 49ers used to do that with Patrick Willis, the Hall of Famer. And I think going into this game against Travis Kelce and the Kansas City Chiefs, that's where Nick Sorensen might choose to use Fred Warner more. Just kind of like, where's the area where Kansas City can hurt the 49ers the most? Well, that's where you want Fred Warner being the guy in charge of that defense. Okay, so thanks for subscribing. Thanks for liking, commenting, all the above. And that is it for now.